there's lots of different ways you can get the capital you need to continue to grow your business. One of those ways that's very attractive to early entrepreneurs is equity finance or dilutive funding. So there's a lot of businesses out there. There's equity crowdfunding platforms. You can find a private angel. And what dilutive funding means is that it means that somebody is buying a piece of your business. Now, that's really attractive for early stage entrepreneurs because it means that you get cash into your business that you never have to pay back, right? They bought a piece of your business. There's been a fair exchange of value. Now they own some of your company. You have some of their cash, and you can use that cash to make the company more valuable. And hopefully in time, as the company becomes valuable enough, you sell it off and everybody gets paid. So this sounds like a great arrangement for a lot of entrepreneurs, and it is. It works out really, really well. There's a lot of use cases where dilutive funding is the way to go, right? If you're creating a new product, you're trying to get to product market fit, you're doing new designs, launching a new distribution channel, you're creating a retail location, there's all sorts of reasons why it might make sense to sell a piece of your business because you don't expect that that cash is gonna come back, right? Or it won't come back for a long time, and so you don't want to have any kind of payment obligations on the capital that you're raising. And that is where dilutive funding makes sense. However, what we see are entrepreneurs start to use dilutive funding when they get used to it. They're using it time and time again in situations where it doesn't make sense. Like, I just got a big PO from Walmart. Let me sell a piece of my business to raise the cash I need to produce the goods to deliver to Walmart. That doesn't make any sense because what you're giving up is the long-term value of your business for a very short-term gain, right? You just need to deliver to Walmart and then you get paid. What you should be looking for in those cases, in most cases, is non-dilutive funding, where you get to keep ownership of your business. And the reason for that is because dilutive funding, while it's very attractive in the early stages, ends up being incredibly expensive when you end up selling your company. So to give you a typical example, imagine you're some new startup entrepreneur, you found an angel, and that angel is willing to give you $100,000 of cash for just 20% of your company. Sweet. Your company, as far as you know, is worth nothing, right? Maybe you haven't done a lot of sales and all these other things, you have an idea. Great. You take on that $100,000 of cash, you build the business, and you build it, and you build it, and you build it, and you have a ton of success, and then eventually you end up selling that business for, take a number out of the air, $20 million, okay? Well, now that person that owns 20% of your company is getting paid $4 million out of your $20 million sale because he gave you $100,000 a few years ago, right? And if you can think about the cost of that capital, it is incredibly high, right? You got $100,000, and in the end, you're paying $4 million for it, right? That's a 4,000% cost of capital. That's incredibly, incredibly high for any business, right? Compare that to even taking a super high interest loan at 30 or 40 or 50%, right? If you had to pay 50% on a loan on $100,000, your total cost of capital there is 50% or $50,000, as opposed to dilutive funding where when you sell your business, it ends up being $4 million or $3.9 million of cost on $100,000 of raised capital, right? That's very expensive. Of course, the caveat there is you have to be able to sell your business. So these guys, and the way dilutive funding works, is they take early risk for these big long-term outcomes, right? And that's the benefit of dilutive funding is sometimes you never have to pay for it. If you go bankrupt and your business is worth nothing, right, that investor gets $0 return on their $100,000 invested into your company. And so it's appropriate for early stage risk, but you don't want to be selling 5 or 10 or any percent of your company if you're going to be able to get that cash in the near term, because that equity funding for any business that's on a significant growth path ends up being much more expensive over time if you're able to sell your company than a non-dilutive funding source. So what are the benefits of non-dilutive funding? Well, one, it almost universally, if the equity investors are doing their job, universally has a lower total cost of capital than dilutive funding. So even if you're taking capital from an extremely expensive provider and you're paying 50%, let's say, on an annualized basis for the capital you raised to grow your business, that's it. That's the total amount you pay, right? So you raise $100,000, you pay back $150,000, and you can do that. And as long as your margins can support that cost, you're fine, and you can grow your business in that way. Non-dilutive funding can be extremely dangerous though, because the truth is that those non-dilutive funding sources, they sit on top of your entire equity stack. So when, and God forbid this happens to anybody, but if and when you have to go through a bankruptcy proceeding, the people that your business owes money to, right? The people that you took on debt, they get paid first before all of the equity issuers. So if you have to go through a bankruptcy proceeding and you have to sell off your assets, right, or you have to sell the business or anything else, the debt gets paid out first. And if the debt has more value, if there's more debt than whatever they can liquefy your business for, you get nothing, right? And so that's where a debt or a non-dilutive funding source can be very dangerous, is it has covenants where you have to pay that money back. And if you don't pay that money back, the courts in America will force you to sell the assets of your business, put you through a bankruptcy proceeding in order to make the debt holders whole. And those assets can include your IP, your brand, or any number of other things, right? And so that's why one of the best things that you can possibly do to fund your business is to take on a source of funding where it's actually other people's capital getting put to work in your business. And that's one of the wonderful things, and one of the reasons we created Kick Further, is that we're neither dilutive funding nor non-dilutive funding. What we do is we create cash assets, right? We just turn your existing inventory assets into cash that you can use, and other people are providing the inventory for your business to sell and grow. And that's the limit of your liability, is making sure that when you sell those assets, you pay the people that provided those assets to you back. And in that way, Kick Further can never send you into bankruptcy. It has all of the benefits of non-dilutive funding while also retaining many of the benefits of equity funding, in being that it's non-dilutive and it's a long-term solution for a product entrepreneur.